What unfolded recently on Jimmy Kimmel's popular late-night show shocked not only the live studio audience but also the entire entertainment world. Diane Keaton, Hollywood's beloved icon known for her charm, humor, and timeless elegance, stunned everyone when she suddenly stood up and walked off the set after an unexpected and fiery confrontation with Kimmel himself. The mood during the initial part of the interview was light, filled with typical banter and laughter. Diane entered the stage with her usual quirky grace, cracking jokes about her age and fashion choices, while Kimmel teased her in his usual sarcastic manner. However, what seemed like harmless fun soon spiraled into uncomfortable territory when Kimmel decided to poke fun at Diane's long-standing views on relationships and marriage, suggesting that her choice to stay single all her life may have been a mistake or a sign of loneliness. Diane, clearly caught off guard by the personal nature of the remark, tried to brush it off with a nervous laugh, but the unease was evident on her face as the conversation took a tense turn. The moment Jimmy pressed the matter further, jokingly, asking, "Do you ever regret never settling down, Diane? Maybe that's why you keep buying all those hats to hide the emptiness?" The audience gasped slightly, unsure if he had crossed the line. Diane, initially smiling, suddenly froze for a moment and responded sharply, "I wear hats because I like them, Jimmy, not to cover up anything in my life. Thank you very much." The tension on the set thickened immediately, and the playful energy completely dissipated. Jimmy, sensing the shift but perhaps trying to maintain control of the moment, laughed awkwardly and said, "Oh, come on, you know I'm kidding. Made a career out of being the cool, eccentric, single lady, it's part of your charm." Diane didn't appreciate the remark. She leaned forward slightly and said in a firm voice that stunned the audience, "It's no one's business why. Lived my life the way I have. I thought we were here to talk about my film, not my personal choices." Her irritation was clear, and for the first time in many years on such a show, her warmth seemed replaced by unmistakable coldness. Rather than diffusing the situation, Kimmel made the mistake of chuckling and quipping, "Oh, Diane, don't be so serious, it's just a talk show, relax." That comment seemed to hit the final nerve. Diane glared at him and said, "That's exactly the problem. Jimmy, you think everything can be made into a joke? Even the things that have shaped a person's life? Some things aren't punchlines." The audience went completely silent. Even the band in the background seemed unsure whether to play the usual filler music. Jimmy, momentarily speechless, tried to soften the situation by quickly changing the topic back to her new film project, but the damage was done. Diane picked up her glass of water, took a long sip, and shook her head in disbelief. Then she said, "I don't need to sit here and be disrespected. If you can't treat me with the dignity I deserve, I think I'll leave." Jimmy's face turned pale, realizing that the situation had slipped completely out of his control. The entire studio audience watched in utter disbelief as Diane calmly stood up, adjusted her signature hat, and began walking off the set. Kimmel called out after her, "Wait, Diane, come on, it's not that serious. Stay. Let's talk about the movie." But she didn't look back. The cameras awkwardly panned to her leaving figure before the producers abruptly cut to a commercial break. The iconic "We'll be right back" card flashing on screens across America. Backstage staff scrambled to understand what had just happened, while Kimmel sat frozen at his desk, staring into the void with an embarrassed smile. Viewers at home immediately flooded social media with tweets, memes, and speculation, making hashtag Diane vs. Kimmel trend within minutes. The clash became the hot topic across Instagram, TikTok, and celebrity gossip blogs, each offering their own interpretation of what caused the breakdown between the two famous figures. Sources close to the production later leaked that Diane was deeply upset not just because of the personal comments on air, but because Kimmel had supposedly agreed before the show not to bring up her relationship status at all. According to insiders, Diane had made it clear in the green room that she wanted the focus to stay on her new independent film and her charity work, not on her private life, which has been endlessly dissected by the press for decades. When Kimmel broke this apparent agreement for the sake of a cheap laugh, Diane felt betrayed and humiliated in front of millions. Her longtime manager was seen backstage angrily confronting producers, demanding to know why the host had strayed from the planned questions. Meanwhile, the production team was frantically discussing whether the footage would ever be aired or if the entire segment would be scrapped to avoid further controversy. As the hours passed, both camps released carefully worded statements to the press. Diane's spokesperson stated that Ms. Keaton values honest and respectful conversation and felt blindsided by the disrespectful turn the interview took. She regrets that viewers were subjected to such an uncomfortable moment. On the other hand, Jimmy Kimmel's team issued a response saying, "Jimmy is known for his playful banter with guests and meant no offense. He regrets if any remarks were misinterpreted and wishes Diane nothing but the best." These carefully polished statements did little to settle the storm. Fans on both sides were passionately defending their favorite celebrity, arguing over who was to blame. Was it Jimmy's disrespectful humor or Diane's overreaction to a harmless joke? Opinion polls on gossip websites reflected a nearly 50-50 split in public opinion, adding more fuel to the fire. Several Hollywood stars weighed in on the debacle. Some, like Meryl Streep and Jane Fonda, subtly supported Diane by posting cryptic tweets about respecting women's choices and personal boundaries. While comedians like Ricky Gervais joked that celebrities need to lighten up, it's a talk show, not a courtroom. The divide in celebrity circles mirrored the public's confusion. Major entertainment networks like TMZ and EA News ran back-to-back coverage. Codania, inviting body language experts and PR gurus to dissect Diane's glare, Jimmy's smirk, and every awkward pause of the ill-fated interview. As if the drama wasn't enough, rumors began swirling that Diane's team was considering legal action for breach of verbal contract. While Kimmel's production team quietly reached out in hopes of smoothing things over behind the scenes before the situation escalated further. Industry insiders began speculating about the long-term impact this confrontation might have. For Diane, a fiercely independent star who has spent decades carefully curating her image as Hollywood's lovable oddball, this incident risked portraying her as thin-skinned or difficult, a reputation she's avoided for years. For Kimmel, the stakes were just as high. Being accused of insensitivity or disrespecting women, especially an elder stateswoman like Diane Keaton, could damage his brand in the current cultural climate where every word and joke is scrutinized. Advertisers for Kimmel's show reportedly held emergency calls with ABC executives, expressing concern over the backlash and considering whether to pull sponsorship if public outrage didn't subside. Meanwhile, Diane's PR team scrambled to schedule sympathetic interviews to reframe the narrative in her favor. Amidst the whirlwind of media speculation. New details emerged suggesting that this was not the first time tensions had flared between Kimmel and Keaton behind the scenes. Some staff members anonymously revealed that during Diane's last visit to the show years ago, there had been a minor disagreement over the script, though it had been resolved quietly. Perhaps old wounds reopened during this latest appearance, resulting in the Air explosion. Theories spread like wildfire online. Was this a genuine moment of personal boundary violation, or a calculated stunt to boost ratings for both stars? Conspiracy threads on Reddit debated whether Diane's walk-off was staged, pointing to her calm demeanor and perfectly delivered parting words as evidence of rehearsal. However, close friends of Diane insisted her anger was entirely real and unplanned. As the dust slowly began to settle, questions lingered over whether Diane Keaton would ever return to late-night television again, or if Jimmy Kimmel would alter his interviewing style to avoid similar controversies. Entertainment Weekly reported that high-level meetings were taking place at ABC to address guest comfort protocols, possibly leading to stricter guidelines on pre-interview agreements. Meanwhile, Diane returned to her quiet life, declining further media appearances while Kimmel resumed his hosting duties with a noticeably gentler tone towards his next guests. Viewers remained divided, still debating who was right or wrong. But one thing became clear: this unforgettable clash between two Hollywood legends left a lasting mark on the history of celebrity talk shows, reminding everyone that even the most rehearsed interviews can spiral into real human drama when egos, pride, and personal choices collide on live television.